McLaren are entering the 2025 season as the Constructors' Champions from 2024, as they were the team that managed to topple the mighty Red Bull team. And Lando Norris managed to try and take the fight to Max Verstappen, as he was his closest rival in the Drivers' Championship as well. Going into 2025, McLaren will be looking to go one step further, as they want to try and win both the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championship. And in today's video, I am going to be previewing McLaren. If you enjoy the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. But now, let's get into the video. As I mentioned, McLaren managed to defeat Red Bull and win the Constructors' Championship in 2024, which was an incredible feat for them, and it goes to show just how quickly things can change in Formula 1. At the beginning of the 2023 season, McLaren were stone dead last. Lando Norris finished 2 laps down, and Piastri had an electrical fault. At the next race in Saudi Arabia, things were not much better for them, but yet in the very next season, they win the Constructors' Championship, and now McLaren are in the best position entering the final season of these regulations. Lando Norris won the race in Abu Dhabi fairly easily, and the car that they have works very well in most conditions. The McLaren car at the end of the 2024 season was one that was generally very kind on tyres. They were strong in slow speed corners, they got great traction out of corners, and whilst they were not quite as strong as Red Bull in high speed corners, they were still second best, making them often better than Red Bull. McLaren did also show a fantastic rate of development during the 2024 season. At the start of the season, they were fairly clearly behind Red Bull and Ferrari, but within a few races, they caught up and overtook Ferrari. Then in Miami, they closed the gap up to Red Bull, and quickly after that, they overtook Red Bull and became the team to beat. And in general, apart from a few races, they have been just the best team overall. The thing is, for McLaren, this is not just a one-off either. In 2023, they also showed a great rate of development. As I mentioned, they started 2023 with the slowest car, but after the Austrian Grand Prix, they all of a sudden became the closest threat to Red Bull. They showed that again in 2024. In 2024, McLaren learned the difficult task of learning how to win races again, and with 4 race wins for Lando Norris and 2 race wins for Oscar Piastri, they learned just that. They did, however, have to learn about winning the hard way, as they did make some mistakes, which will not be happening this year. For example, in Budapest, they did do a driver swap between Norris and Piastri so that Oscar got to win his first race. However, they had to do this because they stopped Norris first, even though he was behind Piastri on track, and then they waited a few laps before bringing Piastri in, allowing Norris to get an undercut on him. It really didn't make much sense and showed how McLaren really struggled under pressure. McLaren and Norris also should have won the British Grand Prix, but they were not sure what strategy to pick and ultimately focused too much on the wrong driver and lost the race and that potential victory. They also should have won in Canada, as Norris built up a very healthy lead, but they didn't stop immediately when the safety car was about to come out, and they surrendered that lead to Verstappen. I still also think to this day that they should have won at Monza as well. All of this is to say that in 2024, McLaren did an incredible job to get to the front and also win the Constructors' Championship, but they did throw away a few races which they should have won. In 2025, they have no excuses to make these mistakes. They have learned what it takes to win races now, and they have to make sure that they do this as often as they can if they want to try and win both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. Ferrari has an all-star driver lineup this year, and Red Bull are going to be looking to win back their Constructors' Championship, which could make for a brilliant fight for first. On top of this, Mercedes will also be looking to find a way to score some solid points and results, as they want to try and win a few races as well. I just want to say, if you are enjoying the video so far, then I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. But now, let's get back to the video. For Oscar Piastri then, this is his 3rd season in the sport, and in my opinion, this is his make or break season. In 2023, it was his rookie year, so it was not expected that he would beat Lando Norris all that often. In 2024 though, I expected that Piastri would at least be a lot closer to Lando, and to his credit, sometimes he was, but it was not often enough. Piastri improved immensely in race trim for 2024, but it is still not quite as strong as Lando's, and on top of that, there has been several qualifying sessions where Piastri was just not in the mix. Going into 2025, there is no longer any excuses for Oscar. He has to perform and be closer and beat Lando Norris more often. He has great potential, and I can see Oscar potentially being a top driver, but he has to show it more often on a more consistent basis. I know some will say, but McLaren were favouring Lando, and at times this was true. But the reason for this is because Lando was beating Oscar somewhat consistently. In 2025, they will be starting on an equal footing, and I think it will be a very interesting season for him. That being said, in 2024, Oscar did win his first Grand Prix in Budapest and then drove a fantastic race in Baku. We need more of those Baku level performances from him in my opinion. And the reason I am being this critical of Piastri is because yes, I do think he can put in those performances more often. I've seen what he can do in Formula 2, I've seen what he can do in Formula 3 in the past. Piastri is a fantastic talent. He just needs to do it more often. For teammate Lando Norris then, 2024 was a very good season, and he was the closest rival to Max Verstappen for the Drivers' Championship, and even for a while, he had people believing he would do it and overcome the deficit to Verstappen. That didn't quite happen, but Lando had some great races and dominated a few of them. At the Dutch Grand Prix, for example, even though he lost the lead to Max off the line, Lando managed to claw back the gap and blast past Verstappen, making it look easy. In Singapore, Norris absolutely dominated the race and even brushed the wall twice. And then in Abu Dhabi, Norris won the final race pretty easily as well. However, for Lando, there is still areas to improve. One area where he needs to improve, as does McLaren for that matter, is when they know they are potentially going to be hit with a penalty. In Texas, for example, they just sat there and waited for an inevitable penalty to come their way, instead of giving the place back to Max, which would have just made sense. Not only that, but the other area, which is a lot more obvious that I think he needs to improve, is his ability off the line, especially when starting on pole position. It has to be said, Norris did lose his lead at the start very often, and this would make his races more challenging than it needed to be. It also cost him victories, which is something that he cannot allow to happen in 2025 if he wants to compete for the Drivers' Championship. Lando in general is in a great position. He is pretty clearly the team leader at McLaren, and starting in 2025, McLaren should have the best car, setting themselves up very nicely. The question is now, can Lando and the McLaren team deliver, or will they struggle to beat the might of Max Verstappen? Lando also needs to make sure he doesn't throw away potential race wins. Like I mentioned in Singapore, he brushed the wall twice. Both of them, if he wasn't a bit more lucky, could have been race ending, which is frankly unacceptable from him. For McLaren then going into 2025, they should be very confident. As I said, there is no reason why they will not be entering the season with the very best car on the grid. They have shown that they can outdevelop the entire competition, with incredible jumps in performance in both 2023 and 2024. If they can keep that up, then 2025 could very well be domination. They have learned what it is like to win again as well, but the team needs to be more forceful when it comes to decision making, and they need to be more flexible when it matters. One of Red Bull's biggest strengths is that they can change the strategy on the fly when it is needed. McLaren tend to spend 4 or 5 laps thinking about it, and when they do make a decision, too much time has passed. If they can sort that out, then there is no reason why the team cannot make the next step and potentially be the team to beat for the entirety of the 2025 season. The question is though, what do you guys think will happen with McLaren in 2025? Do you think they can win the Constructors' Championship once again? And do you think they can win the Drivers' Championship? If so, which driver is winning the Drivers' Championship? In the comment section down below, please do let me know. As always, comment, leave a like and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.